Roll my transfer or activate my wildcard this evening. We are between one of those two in today's Game Week 6 team selection video. And it's safe to say it's one of the most ridiculous game weeks I've had in a while. And you want to stick around for today's video. So as always, if you look forward to it, make sure you do drop a like, aim for 400 on this video. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you do smash that subscribe button. Enough waffling. Let's get into today's video. So you may have gathered from the intro that my team is in a bit of a predicament right now. We could go anywhere from rolling the transfer to activating the wildcard. So we're going to go through exactly what my plans are in this video. But first up, I want to show you what my team is currently looking like, because you're probably sat there thinking, how the hell could somebody be both of possibly rolling the transfer and activating a wildcard? So hopefully this will give you a little bit of an indicator. So after this section, we're going to show you a wildcard team that if I am to activate it tonight, I will move towards a team similar to what I'm about to show you. But right now, based on my current team, I honestly do not think it needs a wildcard at all. And we're going to talk through the players specifically now. And again, in a world where content doesn't exist, I think anybody would look at this team and think to themselves, this team is absolutely fine. But I think because naturally, a lot of people are activating their wildcard and bringing up very similar teams, I think people are naturally being a little bit FOMO about the situation and thinking, oh, but I don't have Semenyo, I don't have Calvert-Lewin, and hitting the wildcard where they don't necessarily need to. Now, some teams do, but I don't think this one necessarily needs it. I think this is a perfect example of if I hit my wildcard, I am doing it completely out of fear of protecting myself against those that are wildcarding. And the reason why I'm a bit hesitant to use the wildcard is because my rank right now is okay, nothing great, nothing terrible, but I'm in a position right now this season where I know managers that currently are activating their wildcard and have 3 free transfers available to them. I only have 1. So if I was to activate my wildcard and put it to the exact same template team that others are doing so, I'm in a position then where how do I actually catch up to those managers that are 100k in the world, are activating their wildcard to the exact same team as myself, and off the back of it are going to have 2 additional transfers more than me? I just feel like I'm never going to catch up with them. So while a lot of the community are going this way to wildcard, I feel like it's a great opportunity for me to go the other direction. And with this team, I think I can absolutely do that. So just going through from top to bottom, Henderson, yes, I would prefer someone like a Raya, but I don't think it's the end of the world having Henderson away against Everton. Double Liverpool defence. Now, you're probably sat there thinking you need to bring in an Arsenal defender, and I absolutely agree. I do think Gabriel is a fantastic option this week, but Robertson, away against Wolves, fully rested, I think is a perfect example of a player that can offer both clean sheet potential and attacking potential. So, yes, I would prefer Gabriel this week, but is Robertson a bad pick away against Wolves? Absolutely not. And I do think in itself, double Liverpool defence actually becomes a bit of a differential this week. Now, of course, Cunha could score after 2 minutes and it looks like the worst decision ever. But likewise, Leicester could score against Arsenal and all of a sudden the wildcards don't seem to be a thing. So double Liverpool defence, I don't feel terrible about that at all. Robinson away against Nottingham Forest. Again, we're going to take a look at a wildcard in a minute where maybe there's a better third defender out there. But again, am I desperate to sell Robinson this week? Probably not. Now, in terms of the midfielders, the big problem with this midfield right now is going to be Diogo Jota and how you perceive the minutes. For me, he was an absolute sell going into game week 6. But with the recent EFL Cup game where he played 59 minutes, scored, and Darwin Núñez played the full 90 minutes, I just feel like because Jota missed out completely in game week 5, played 59 in midweek, I feel like that is all lining up for him to start away against Wolves. Now, again, you might sit here and think to yourself, no, Jota is absolutely a rotation risk. And I still agree with that narrative. But I think right now, Diogo Jota is a potential starter in game week 6. And while that was going to be originally my absolute guaranteed transfer of Diogo Jota to Bryan Mbeumo, because of course, a lot of wildcarders are bringing in Bryan Mbeumo, maybe this is the opportunity to keep Jota for one more week, roll my transfer as I discussed, and then reassess his minutes coming into game week 7, because I agree, over 2 game weeks, I think we could absolutely see a situation where Jota starts the first and is benched for the second. But if I'm viewing his Jota as just a 1 game week punt in isolation, I still think, and I know it might be not actually that popular opinion, that Jota is still a very, very good asset and could easily match Luis Diaz in any game week. I know Luis Diaz is the flavour of the month right now, but would I be surprised if Jota actually flips the script and is the one that gets a brace in this game? Absolutely not. So because of that reason, and probably my own mind convincing me that he will start, I feel like selling Jota this week actually isn't as desperate as what it originally was. And I also do think that Brentford up against West Ham isn't as easy as a lot of people are thinking. I think West Ham have good players. I know they're struggling under Lopetegui right now, but I still don't think it's an easy game for Brentford. Obviously, Smith Rowe, and again, we're looking at a wildcard in a minute, isn't the ideal fifth midfielder, but again, is it desperate of a wildcard? I think the answer is no. And finally, Watkins and Haaland. I've seen a lot of people sell Watkins to bring in people like Calvert-Lewin and Chris Wood. They absolutely could score this week, but do I want a wildcard out Watkins away against Ipswich? The answer is going to be no. So to kind of conclude, as we mentioned, this is why I'm in a position where I could either roll my transfer and just go with this 11 or wildcard. So we're going to take a look at a wildcard now, show you what changes I would make, compare them, and then we'll come to a conclusion before actually showing you my Game Week 6 team selection. But let me know in the comment section firstly, am I mental or am I a genius? Let me know. So if I was to wildcard tonight in Game Week 6, this is how my team would look. Now, again, wildcarding obviously is going to be template. Let's be real. I think some people naturally want to be a bit different and are bringing in certain players, but I really do think the basis of the wildcard is going to stay the same for most players. I think the essentials are going to be Gabriel. I think most people are now leaning towards Trent being basically essential in those teams. I think Rico Lewis is becoming very popular. Saka, Rodgers, and Mbeumo, very popular in teams. And then Erling Haaland. Outside of that, the pieces of the puzzle can change. But all in all, I think this kind of structure is very popular. Maybe people are going down from Havertz and then upgrading Luis Diaz to a Cole Palmer. That's another alternative. But for me, with the rare injury news where we don't actually have any clarification whether he is available or not, I actually think it's a brilliant opportunity for managers to go a little bit different and go for the Arsenal double-up attack. I think with Raya, obviously he is the best goalkeeper in the game, but he's been accumulating his saves and bonus points in weird situations, either against 10 men or against top teams. Coming into 3 fixtures where we're not really expecting Arsenal to face many shots, I think the floor and the ceiling of Raya are basically the same between 2 and 6 points, whereas someone like a Kai Havertz, I really think has a much higher ceiling of, if Arsenal do win 3 or 4-0 in both games, you want the double attack rather than the double defence in my eyes. And again, you could long-term look at it as double Arsenal defence, and I agree, 10 game weeks, you probably do want to have double Arsenal defence, but I think the fixtures are too good right now to not attack those with double Arsenal offence. So Saka and Havertz are in. And again, what I want to look at right now with this wildcard team is, what am I changing? And do I love the changes that I am making? And again, we can change this wildcard at any premise that you want. So what I'm going to put up is the players I'm selling to the players that I'm bringing in going into Game Week 6. So as you can see, Henderson out for Flecken. Yes, I think it probably is better fixtures, but could Flecken concede in the next 5 games? 100%. So it's not like we're bringing in a David Raya going into this week. So I actually don't think the goalkeeper move is even that incredible. Obviously, we could change the narrative here. I bring in Raya and all of a sudden it looks all roses, but we don't know if he is actually available for Game Week 6. In terms of defenders, Barco out for Greaves, obviously an upgrade because Barco isn't even in the league. But again, what am I expecting from Greaves? Not much at all. Robinson to Lewis. Now again, this is the perfect example of how you want to perceive Rico Lewis. Some people are thinking that he is going to be the next best defender in the game, and I agree. He could have that trajectory to be that player. And that's why I think if you're wildcard in Game Week 6, you kind of need to take the punt on him and hope that he does become that player, that starter for Man City each and every week. If he doesn't, you use one of your free transfers to move him out to another 4.5 million defender where there is just so many available. So I do prefer Lewis over Robinson, especially for the next few weeks. So I do agree that is an upgrade with the team. Robertson to Gabriel. I know I've got it Robertson to Mykolenko, but that isn't a direct comparative. Now again, yes, I would prefer Gabriel over someone like a Robertson, but would I wildcard Robertson out for Gabriel? I still think the answer is going to be no. I still think Robertson offers value in today's game. And then, of course, the other move would be doing Lewis Hall to Mykolenko. And yes, I do think that is a good move because Lewis Hall is completely a rotation risk in this Newcastle team. Mykolenko, I do think, is going to be a brilliant option at 4.3 million. With the return of Jared Branthwaite and the great long-term Everton fixtures, I think Mykolenko is actually being slept on a little bit, and I think he offers great value in that area. Now, moving into the midfielders, again, the improvements. Smith Rowe to Semenyo. I don't actually think that is a crazy improvement at all. I think Smith Rowe has been very, very impressive, but the fixtures don't lie, and the ones coming up for Bournemouth are brilliant. And if we do think that Semenyo is going to continue the underlying numbers that he's delivered in the opening 5 game weeks, I think returns could happen over those weeks. So I do prefer Semenyo over Smith Rowe. Now, this is the big one. Eze to Mbeumo. Now, again, I think everybody is going to agree they would prefer Bryan Mbeumo, but I also love Eze as an asset. His underlying numbers are fantastic. Talisman in that team. And you know if Crystal Palace are going to do well over this period, then he is going to be the heart of it. The big thing is he actually going to get wins in this Crystal Palace team? Are they going to score goals? And I think that's the big doubt right now, whereas Mbeumo feels like that nice warm blanket going into game week 6. So I do agree with the Eze to Mbeumo move, but again, do I think it's absolutely needed of a wild card? No. Jota to Diaz, yes, I think that is a good move long term, but I said to you, for a 1 game week punt, if you have the thought process that Jota is starting, I think that is absolutely fine to keep Jota. Then we come to the last 2, Watkins to Havertz. Now again, Havertz is the only one that I could look at and say to you, I think he could outscore Watkins over the next few weeks, because I think Aston Villa are just one of the top teams in this league right now. And I think Watkins is just returning his underlying data now. We knew it was happening in the opening 4 game weeks. It happened in game week 5 finally, and we all knew that was overdue. He could easily score a hat-trick away against Ipswich, but equally Havertz could at home against Leicester. So I like the Havertz move, but of course I don't think Watkins to Havertz is a necessary transfer. Muniz to Calvert-Lewin or Chris Wood is absolutely fine. I know I've got Calvert-Lewin on the screens, but Chris Wood is basically the same move as well. So all in all, do I think my team improves with a wildcard? The answer is going to be yes, because of course right now I have problems in my team in the shape of Muniz, Barco and Lewis Hall. And I'm getting those slight upgrades in the team like Smith Rowe to Semenyo, and I'm getting an improvement, for example, some may argue, of doing something like a Robinson to a Rico Lewis. But do I think this wildcard is necessary? And I still think the answer is no. I still think the answer is no. And that's why, at the time of recording, I am planning to not activate my wildcard and instead go down a different route. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, so moving into my Game Week 6 team selection. Hopefully you enjoyed the first 2 sections going into my mind, because it has been a bit of a crazy place over the last few days. So take a look at the goalkeeper and defence. As we've spoken about, it could be crazy of me going without Arsenal defence, but I still think the double Liverpool defence is a fantastic differential. Now, of course, things might change in the press conference where we get a little bit of doubts about Robertson's fitness, but I think he's absolutely fine to go. I don't think there's been any rumours out there. I'm probably creating them right now on this video. I think he's absolutely fine to go. Robertson to Gabriel is absolutely the move I make if I'm scared. If I panic, just do that move. It feels safe. I'm bringing in the Arsenal clean sheets. But again, I still think Robertson is a brilliant option and also provides attacking potential at times in that Liverpool team from set pieces. So right now, might sound crazy, but I'm looking to actually go without Arsenal defence. And I'm going to be starting with Henderson in goal, Robertson and Trent as my Liverpool double up, and Robinson away against Forest. I know it looks weak. I know it doesn't look fantastic, but if that Liverpool clean sheet does come in, then that is going to be an incredible differential against those managers that actually activated the wildcard. And if our Arsenal clean sheet does go, and let's be real, it won't, but if it does, what a start to this week it would be. So brave move, I know, but I'm not going to make any moves for my goalkeeper or defenders. Moving into my Game Week 6 midfielders, and you can see it is the same 5 as what I originally had. Yes, I am taking a massive risk with this potential strategy. Now, I need to put out there a caveat. This could change. If I get any sort of quotes where Slot comes out and says, you know what, Jota is going to be touch and go for the weekend, we don't really know whether he could be available, or Darwin Núñez looks amazing, all this sort of stuff, then the natural move is going to be Diogo Jota to Mbeumo. I just want to put it out there. If there's anything that makes me panic about Diogo Jota's minutes, because of course if you haven't watched the start of this video, you'll know that I am quite bullish on a start for Diogo Jota, then I will pull the trigger. I will do the easy move of Jota to Mbeumo, and again, that one just makes me sleep well at night, knowing that I'm going to get a guaranteed 90 minutes of Mbeumo on penalties. But again, I really like the alternative of being a bit different this week and keeping Diogo Jota. But again, I need those reassurances in a press conference or something just to be peace of mind going into game week 6. So as I mentioned, the rest of the team, I really do not think it needs a wildcard. Yes, I won't have Luis Diaz. Yes, I won't have Semenyo. Yes, I might not have Mbeumo if I do keep Diogo Jota. But outside of that, I'm pretty content with this midfield going into game week 6. But as I mentioned, if I get any sort of hesitancy or panic about Jota, then Mbeumo will be my priority midfielder to come into this team. So right now, I'm not looking to make a transfer in my midfield area. Let me know your thoughts. So of course, if I'm not going to make a transfer in the midfield area, then I don't think I'm going to make one in the front line at all. Haaland and Watkins are just obviously sticking in this team. There's no world where I'm selling Watkins for Kai Havertz. I really do think if anybody is going to match Watkins or outscore him, it is going to be Kai Havertz. But I just think that's a waste of a transfer for my team. If I am going to do that move, I might as well, in my eyes, just take the wildcard and make vast changes to the team. The one thing that I didn't speak about, but I have on previous videos, so please do check them out, is potentially upgrading Muniz to somebody like a Calvert-Lewin or a Chris Wood. That is actually available for my team. And what it would do is just give my team a little bit of depth. So what I could do is Muniz to Calvert-Lewin or Chris Wood, and I could easily bench somebody like a Smith Rowe if I do think that that is a fixture where I can't see many returns. So the other caveat is if I get any sort of idea that maybe Rodgers is a minute's risk or Smith Rowe is a minute's risk, those are the two that I'm slightly concerned about, then I would pull the trigger maybe on improving the squad depth and doing Muniz to Chris Wood would be my number one target. The only problem with Chris Wood is that game week 7 is a tough fixture away against Chelsea. And you're going to see in a minute, my team is pretty bad going into game week 7. Hence why I want to roll my transfer into game week 7 to give it the best possible chance of looking okay in comparison to those wildcard teams. So that is a potential move, Muniz to Wood or Calvert-Lewin if we get doubts over those minutes. But otherwise, as I mentioned, I'm looking to go with this team and roll in the transfer. We spoke about in depth about why I don't think certain players are required to be sold. The one thing, as I mentioned, I need to show you is the main reason why I want to roll the transfer and not just use one to do Bryan Mbeumo is because the game week 7 team looks bad. And I think I'm going to need 2 free transfers to get myself out of a bit of a predicament in game week 7. So that is most likely my moves. Of course, I'll update you if I make any changes. And of course, let me know in the comments what you do with this team. Finally, we need to talk about captaincy because I think there's a real debate right now between Erling Haaland and Bukayo Saka. So going into game week 6, without any information over the opening 5 game weeks, based on the fixture, I think everybody would probably lean towards Bukayo Saka because Newcastle away historically is a tough place to go. But Newcastle have really struggled this season. I know they picked up results, but I think we all know they have been scraping through games. Defensively, they've been a bit all over the place. And with Erling Haaland's form right now, I really think it is just a great captaincy option once again. Now, the one thing I will say is Saka being a midfielder, additional point for a clean sheet, additional point for a goal, and by far and away the better fixture at home against Leicester. I really do think it's a 50-50 split right now for me. And this is probably the biggest decision for my team. Not only what to do with the wildcard or roll the transfer, but also who to put the captaincy on. Because I think there is going to be quite a big swing this game week. It really does feel like it, where Haaland may end his goal scoring form and Saka delivers a brace against a woeful Leicester team. So need to have a little bit of a debate on this one. But as of right now, I just feel that confidence, that reassurance that if Man City are going to beat Newcastle, I know Erling Haaland is going to be the heart of everything and he will be the goal scorer. Whereas at Arsenal, historically, we've just seen too many times where the goals have been spread out amongst the team. Saka may pick up an assist and then come off around the 70th minute. I just see Erling Haaland, if they are going to win, being the main goal scorer in that team. And I just feel like the captaincy on him is just the right move. But again, I will update you if anything does change. So as I mentioned, going into game week 6, I want to roll my transfer in an ideal world. And the main reason being also is that game week 7 doesn't look great for my team. So doing Jota to Mbeumo is absolutely a fantastic move, but it doesn't actually improve my overall team. So as I said, game week 6, you might not think it, but I am pretty content with that team. I'm absolutely fine with it. However, what doesn't look good is game week 7. Look at this team. The bench, we cannot trust, so we can't even bring any of these players into the team. Now, if I was to go into game week 7, and again, with the intention of not wildcarding, then of course, my team is going to look like Jota to Mbeumo. So let's say I've made that move. I'm only going to have one transfer available, and I've got players like, forget about Henderson, it is what it is with goalkeepers. Robinson away against City. We've got Rodgers at home against Man United, which I don't think is terrible. Smith Rowe away against Man City, and nobody to come in and help me out in this week. So it's a bad spot to be in, and that's why I do feel like, because game week 6 looks absolutely fine in my head, rolling the transfer allows me to actually get through game week 7. Now, I haven't given it tons of thought because, let's be real, so much can happen in a game week and players can get injured and it completely pivots the team. But what I could easily do here is, for example, if the price changes are kind to me, get rid of someone like a Lewis Hall. And with one more game week worth of information, because we don't actually know what Man City are going to be like without Rodri. Is Rico Lewis suddenly going to become an imperative part of the team? Or is he going to be another rotation piece for Pep? Hopefully the Newcastle game will give us that indication. And if that is the case, then Rico Lewis is a brilliant player to bring in instead of Lewis Hall. And I get that Fulham game at home, which maybe some managers are avoiding if they don't want to go there. And again, the other problem in the game week 7 is going to be my 5th midfielder in the shape of Smith Rowe. Now again, things can change, but we're 0.1 million in the bank. Not an ideal position to be in. Only one Arsenal attacker in here. Watkins at home against Man United. That feels like an easy way to go to Kai Havertz if I want to. But again, Watkins at home against Man United, I really don't think is a bad fixture at all. So the Lewis move feels good for game week 7. But I don't know what my other move would be. But what I'm just trying to show you is that the reason why I'm rolling my transfer isn't necessarily because I don't think there are any good moves in game week 6. There absolutely are. But the moves like Jota to Mbeumo, or for example, Watkins to Kai Havertz, doesn't help my team in game week 7 because I'm still going to have those problems around the edges of Robinson, Smith Rowe, Muniz. So you're probably watching this right now thinking, Nacho, just hit the wild card. It will save you the problems. And I do agree. But I also, like I said, it's a different year. We've never played this game before where people have wildcards and 3 free transfers available. And I know managers out there that have activated their wildcard is going to be the exact same to my team. We're not going to make any transfers for the next 5 weeks because we don't need to. And they're just going to sit there with 5 free transfers while I'm trying to scramble together 2 or 3. And I can never see myself actually gaining any rank in the long term with this move. So that's why it's very high risk, high reward, but I am still planning to roll my transfer. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yes, guys, okay, so that is going to wrap up today's Game Week 6 team selection video. As you saw, I may be going insane with FPL right now, but hopefully it's providing some entertainment nonetheless. Now, again, we're going to be doing a deadline live stream, of course, tomorrow, and you'll want to stick around for that one because who knows what you're going to wake up to tomorrow morning. I may have taken a -12, I may have activated my wildcard, I may have deleted my account. We could go into any one of those directions. So, as always, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed my pain, make sure you do drop a like and, of course, smash that subscribe button. I will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8:30 for the Game Week 6 deadline live stream. Can't wait to see you there. Have an amazing day. Take care. Cheers.